in another dimension where the fright zone and the fright pit manifest, where the evil warrior known as Hordak and his minions dwell. There are creatures, there are demons, there are villains, and today we're gonna look at another beast. Vintage Collection Beast Man. We'll be reviewing today.
Super Dave here with another Super Dave review. Super Dave here with another exciting Masters of the Universe review, and this time we've got a vintage collection, a Masterverse vintage collection in the house. It's finally Beast Man. Been looking forward to getting this guy because we've gotten a lot of Beast Man figures in Masterverse, but this one promises, obviously in the vintage, to be more of a classic vintage style, so wanted to take a look at him. Of course, we got this vintage packaging with the exploding rocks that wrap around. There is a cool artwork from like the similar to and inspired by the comics, mini comics back in the day, looking cool. There's a little saying there about this scene. And then you have some of his abilities there, and articulation and accessories, of course. So that is a look at the box. Of course, it has Masterverse on the top. So let's go ahead and break him open and check him out over here in the fright zone, in the fright pit. Beast Man. And first, let's take a look at our Beast Man's accessories. He comes with two sets of hands, both horizontally hinged, a set of weapon holding hands that are equipped here, and then a set of grappling, open palm, clawing looking hands for battle. Looking cool here. And then the only other thing he comes as far as accessories is his whip, his iconic whip. But just look at this cool looking classic vintage style Beast Man. He's definitely fits the bill. The color scheme, the thickness, the way he's designed with the furry headdress around his neck, the spikes on his shoulders and his shins, like shin guards, even that really cool bright blue furry loin cloth with more of a classic style belt around him. So yeah, definitely seeing the classic incorporation here, as well as of course the vintage figure. But you remember, Beast Man has the power to control beasts with his mind. Certain beasts especially. I would say maybe kind of like with stormtroopers or the Force in Star Wars. It would be more the weak-minded, I guess, that he's able to control. Like these bears back here that we have from Marvel Legends, and even this ape type beast. He's going to be able to control them to do his bidding, or Skeletor's bidding, because that's why Skeletor keeps him around, because he's able to control some animals and beasts of the forest and be able to use them in their battle to try to seize the powers of Grayskull. But Beast Man has wandered into another dimension where Hordak and the Fright Pit and the Fright Zone are, so we'll find out what's going to happen. But first, let's take a look at our Beast Man's articulation. All right, let's bring our Beast Man on in here. He's looking very intimidating. I was trying to kind of get a little bit of the pose like was on the back of the box. That looks really cool, so I switched out his hands. We'll show you that one of the sides, the right side over here, has like this metal looking coating on the back of his palm or hands, and this side does not have that. But these bracers are removable. Just take a look at that. That's what we're used to seeing on Beastman, kind of this kind of tool looking thing that's almost like a necklace that is tied up, and then the chain disappears into the fur and back inside here probably. And of course this neck piece, I always interpreted that as just part of his fur, not a dressing or a suit part or even armor, that it was, you know, part. Some of this may have been like the spikes, but the other was part of his fur. I don't know, but you can see how thick that is. You can see where you can remove it. There's the buckle there, and that there's bright blue furry loincloth there covering in this his pelvis area, and of course the, again, classic style gold belt. All this is very much Beastman colors. I really like the head sculpt this time that they used, because one, it looks like Beastman. It has the colors, has the basically the facial expression that we're used to, but also that mouth is very much open. I don't know if you can see, it goes down in there deep, like it's really open. It's not articulated this time like we saw in the new Eternia 2.0 Beastman, but he's definitely really, really cool. So let's go ahead and look as articulation. Pretty much common to Masterverse. He's going to be able to look up about that much. He might be able to squeeze a little bit more before it pops off, but I like the fact that he can look up a good amount, because it does allow him to get some of those beast poses but still kind of slouch over a little bit. But yeah, he's able to look up a really good amount there. He's going to be able to look down. It keeps popping off. He's going to be able to look down until his beard hits that chest part, but that's still okay. A little bit of pivoting, not a whole lot. Boy, this head pops off easy, just because of the pressure I guess this puts on it, and it's kind of soft. But he's not really going to be able to turn side to side much. That's about as much as he's going to be able to do with all of this thickness on there, but still looks cool. And again, that face sculpt is stellar. I think Mattel did a great job with this Beastman vintage head. I like it. Like that one really good. Now you can do full 360 with those arms. You're going to be able to strike a really decent T-pose. You have bicep swivel with a good big girth there. You've got double jointed elbows that go all the way. I mean, he's able to go full on double joints. He's got the tinier, like we've been seeing in the vintage collection, the smaller peg that goes down in there, kind of like, you know, the first couple of waves did with Masterverse. I don't know why they left, you know, to abandon the thicker peg, but you still have the horizontal hinge and the rotation there, of course. Then you've got your diaphragm that's going to be able to crunch forward about that much, pretty decent. It's going to be able to bend back pretty good amount there. Don't think it's going to go any further back. Trying to see. That's about as far back as he's going to go, which is pretty decent there. And of course, he will also get the side-to-side movement. So he's got the full hula hoop going on there, as well as some rotation at that diaphragm, and of course, rotation at the joint there, or I should say the waist as well. Now, let's see. Yeah, he still has the drop down method, as you can see there. He's got thigh rotation. He's going to be able to kick up a really good amount. He's going to have double jointed knees. This strap right here is going to block a little bit from that closing any more than that. So let's see. Yeah, he'll still kick up to about his upper back there. Let's see. He's going to be able to go full tiptoes. Going to be able to go up, not very much going up there. Doesn't articulate up, but it does have a good rocker with a peg hole on the bottom. So he is looking really good here and has pretty decent common articulation for a Masterverse figure that is vintage collection. Really cool. So now let's do some comparisons. And here is our first set of comparisons. We'll compare this vintage collection Beastman with the classics. And here is our classic Beast Man. The color scheme is definitely different, but the overall theme of and look is definitely there. He's got his whip. He's got the same style, open mouth type thing. He's got that, like I was saying, that tool charm type necklace thing around with the furry neck area, thick around it with the spikes. Big spikes on his shoulders. These actually may be a little bigger, I'm not sure, especially for the size. I don't know, they may be the same, but definitely more of a fur texture going on in his arms. Even his hands look very detailed. Of course, Classics was known for their detail in a lot of respects. Even that face sculpt. This almost has like the detail, but also a little bit of a toyish, well, basically your vintage toy look. Kind of like this simplistic Classics Club Grayskull Beast Man that is basically patterned after the cartoon, Filmation cartoon. Very simplistic. He's hunched over. He's got the bright blue shorts, the gold belt, but with very little details. Very smooth as far as the fur and the body. But that's kind of the way he looked in the cartoon. So there is your Classics Beast Man or men next to this vintage Beast Man. And then next up is our New Eternia Beast Man from Masterverse. Here's the first deluxe New Eternia Beast Man we got. And he definitely had the spikes on his shins and knees and arms, but then he had this huge fluffy fur around basically his entire body, upper body almost, with this like spiky type armor on with the New Eternia style like part around his waist, flare there. And that is a Hordak MX head sculpt. It's similar to the original, but with more detail and better paint apps. And I just really liked that Beast Man that Hordak MX did, his head, that was to go with this actual figure. And then we got another New Eternia Beast Man. I call it 2.0. Not deluxe, but nonetheless a New Eternia Beast Man. And he's just got a modern flair to him. I've said it before when I've reviewed this guy that I feel like that this could pretty much be more or less another part of his tribe, because, you know, Beast Man came from a tribe of men, of beasts. There were, according to the pictures, there were even female beasts that were in their tribe. And I kind of see this guy, I mean, the way he looks so different in the face, I almost want to make him more of a different, you know, different individual altogether, not the Beast Man that we know as kind of like, I guess, the leader of the Beast Men tribe, but that comes alongside of Skeletor as a henchman. But I don't know, this Beast Man is hard to beat here. I just think he's really cool, and probably will still go with this one as being my kind of like go-to for pictures and stuff, because he's just so big and intimidating. I like him. But this one definitely scratches that nostalgic itch of vintage, and just his size. I really like his size. If I stand him up all the way, he'd be the same size as this Beast Man. So I've just got him kind of hunched over a little bit like Beast Man would be in a lot of typical ways. But yeah, really cool here. And here is our Vintage Collection Skeletor next to our Vintage Collection Beast Man, as well as our Vintage Collection Faker. Now, I did not get the Vintage Collection Merman. The Merman looks, you know, very vintage, very, very classic looking. But I am just so really just in love with this New Eternia Merman that I really just didn't want to get him. Just not, you know, Merman is not my favorite character. I think I liked him a little better after watching the Netflix series. of the Revelation and Revolution. But this character, I mean, because I had been trying to get casually, off and on throughout the years, the classics merman, but it was just pricey. But when they came out with this guy, and I've got some other merman by Masterverse, but this new Eternia merman, these cool eyes, and I've got a review up on him. I mean, he's just perfect in my opinion. So to me, there's no need to have any others. Beastman is just such a core character, and even though he's kind of on the bright side, I wanted to get him. But the Faker, I mean, this is my definitive Faker. He's just perfect in my opinion. That metal plating under his armor. And of course, this Skeletor fell a little bit short in comparison to the San Diego Comic-Con 2-pack Skeletor. That was the 40th anniversary He-Man / Skeletor, because he had the movable jaw, but otherwise looked a lot like this. But still, some of the shading and the armor is a little bit different colored. So this is the actual vintage Skeletor. So yeah, really looks good here together. This size, and of course, like we know, the vintage collection has the thicker buck. The chest is just really thick. And that's the same here with this fella, even though it's harder to tell because of the huge thickness of his fur around his neck kind of thing. But yeah, really cool. Thank you for joining us for this Super Dave review. And it has been fun taking a look at this Beast Man in this other dimension with all these villains. And he has been so cool. Thank you for joining us. Like, subscribe if you haven't done so. Comment if you have something to share. We'll look forward to seeing you next time. God bless you. Here's some photos in the photo gallery.